You had a legend versus a record breaker. A world-class striker versus one of the greatest submission artists ever. The fight for the BMF title at UFC 326, it was built on so many questions. But after 25 minutes, we were left with just one single dominant answer. So let's break down exactly how Charles Oliveira put on an absolute masterclass against Max Holloway.
So the big question, who left that octagon with the BMF belt, the title of the single baddest fighter in the sports? You know, sometimes there's controversy, a debate. Not this time. The answer was just completely, utterly definitive.
And there's your man, Charles Oliveira, the submission king, the record holder for most finishes, is now the BMF champion. And look, this wasn't just another win on his record. This was a statement. This adds a whole new, incredible chapter to his already legendary career.
I really want you to focus on that one word right there, dominating. Because that's exactly what this was. This wasn't a close fight. It wasn't a back and forth war. It was total, suffocating control from start to finish. It was the entire story of the fight. And just to be crystal clear, this wasn't some lucky punch. No weird judge's call. The scorecards were unanimous. All three judges saw it the same way. Oliveira systematically took apart a guy who is, without a doubt, a future Hall of Famer in Max Holloway. So, the big question is, how did he do it? So, how did he do it? How do you go in there and neutralize arguably the best pure boxer in the entire history of the UFC? Well, Oliveira and his team knew the answer wasn't to stand there and trade punches. No, the answer was to take this fight to a completely different planet, the mat. In fact, the whole fight, the entire brilliant game plan, can really be boiled down to just one single, relentless number: 5. And that's what that 5 means, a takedown in every single round. He didn't just win the grappling exchanges, he forced them over and over again. He turned a prize fight into his own personal jiu-jitsu playground, and the pressure was just nonstop. And this is that game plan in action. Every one of those takedowns, it wasn't just about scoring points. It was about draining Holloway's energy, completely shutting down his legendary striking, and making him worry constantly about the next submission attempt. He basically changed the rules of the game mid-fight. Honestly, there's no other way to describe it. It was a 25-minute chess match where one guy was always 3 or 4 moves ahead. A true, genuine masterclass in tactical ground dominance. But you know, for every masterclass, there's someone on the receiving end. So let's flip the script. From Max Holloway's point of view, this wasn't some chess match. This was a puzzle that had no solution. It was a nightmare he just could not wake up from. And you have got to give him absolute maximum credit. Max Holloway never quit. He showed the heart of a lion, surviving incredibly dangerous submission attempts that would have made 99% of other fighters tap out. His toughness and resilience were off the charts. But toughness alone just wasn't going to be enough. And that right there is the brutal genius of Oliveira's strategy. When you have to spend every single second just defending chokes and fighting to get back to your feet, there's absolutely zero energy left for your own offense. We never got to see that beautiful, high-volume, blessed Max Holloway because he was too busy just trying to survive. And that is the terrifying question that Charles Oliveira now poses to the entire lightweight division. How do you beat a guy who can just decide to completely take away your greatest strength? On this night, for a legend like Max Holloway, it was a completely unsolvable problem. All right, so while the main event obviously stole the show, there was a ton of other action on the card that's absolutely going to send ripples through the rankings. Let's do a quick rundown of the other key fights. Okay, 2 huge results to keep an eye on here. First, in the middleweight division, Caio Borralho proved he is the real deal by actually out-grappling a world-class grappler in Reinier de Ridder. That's a huge statement. And then, down at bantamweight, the 19-year-old phenom Raul Rosas Jr. passed his biggest test yet with a massive win over the super tough veteran Rob Font. Both of those guys took huge steps forward. So with that BMF belt now safely in his possession and another legend added to his resume, what is the next move for Charles "Du Bronx" Oliveira? I mean, his legacy is just becoming undeniable, right? He's not just the former lightweight champion, he holds the all-time records for most submissions and most finishes in UFC history. And now he adds the BMF title to that collection. He is building a resume that is truly unlike anyone else's. So it really leaves us with this final massive question. We're clearly not just watching a great fighter anymore. We are all witnessing an all-time great forge one of the most unique and dominant legacies in the entire history of combat sports. He's beaten the best strikers, he's beaten the best grapplers. What is possibly left for this man to prove?